Yo, what's going on, Wes? What's happening?
Trying to get my head in the game, or I guess get my head out of the game, so to speak. But man, showtime.
Yeah, for sure. Showtime. What's happening over in the Dillon household? For the holidays, we're ramping up. Is there a Christmas tree up? Is there lattice work everywhere? I don't know what lattice work is. It just came to mind.
Look, yeah. So yes, the tree just went up, which should tell you something because we're the family that the minute Halloween is over, the Christmas tree goes up.
Okay.
And that didn't happen this year. We put it up, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. I just got the majority of the gifts off the UPS truck today, but there are still a significant amount that have yet to be ordered. So we're in disarray over here. I've got so much stuff going on with work, and then the 2023 show, and then personal stuff, and then it's a madhouse. But we're hanging on by a thread.
Nice. Nice. I like living alone and not having a Christmas tree or decorations or hey kids. So we're living some polar opposite lives here. So I have to live vicariously through you and like get my taste of the proper familial Christmas festivities without actually having to partake myself until the actual day, which is fucking fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, it's the time. It's the time of the year for us to re-up on video game software and hardware. So that's kind of what's going on here.
'Tis the season, as they say.
Indeed.
Let's get this show started.
Let's go.
This is PSVR GAMESCAST Live. We film live every single Monday, Wednesday, and 2 Eyes Friday right here on YouTube. We do it live 6 p.m. Eastern right here on Without Parole. We do it live for your viewing pleasure, but we also care about your oral pleasure, so we make sure that RiPop gets this thing up on podcast services of your choice. My name is Brian Popnician right here, PSVR Without Parole. And this gentleman over here to my left, you're right, every single fucking Wednesday, it's Wes Dillon from Virtual Strangers. What is going on, Wes?
What up? Checking out AJ in the chat, getting the mosh pit going, man. I love the energy.
Nice.
Like he's ready to go.
That's pretty awesome. What are we listening to? Anything good?
I have no idea. Probably, I don't know, Mastodon, maybe some Gojira, possibly.
Do you ever never hear somebody say a word and then the next thing you know, you hear it 17 times in the same month? That's Gojira with me. I've never fucking heard of them. I swear to you. I know. People are ready to crucify me. They're like, we're going to string you up, Brian, because you don't listen to our music. And I was like, that's probably true. Yeah.
I've been there, man. I had my dark ages of my life where I got away from listening to music. Mm-hmm. And, the beautiful thing about that is when you come back, you get to rediscover music, which means all your favorite bands have 5 more albums now that you didn't hear. And then there's always a few bands that emerged during your time away. And for me, one of those bands was Gojira, and they're amazing.
Nice. Yeah. My problem is that, I mean, I feel like I'm in the dark ages right now, Wes. That's essentially where I'm at because my problem is I'm feeling like an old man these days. I'm feeling like I don't even want to discover new music, even if it's by my favorite band. Like I come back to something and go, oh, there's fucking My Chemical Romance has like 10 unreleased tracks on this album called The Ghost in You that came out around the same time as the Black Parade. And I'm like, and I start listening to it. I'm like, this is great. This is like, for me, it's brand new, unreleased MCR stuff. And I start listening and go, nah, it's fun to listen to this stuff I know. And I turned it off like 2 songs in. It's like, I'm broken, man. I'm broken because I could not consume enough music in my teens and my 20s. And then by the time I was 35, it was all over.
I feel you, but I will encourage you to stick with it because I experienced something similar with Deftones, which is probably my favorite band right now. Not when I went away, but after I came back, definitely a much bigger Deftones fan now. And I go through the same process with every one of their albums that I didn't hear when it came out, and I hate it, and then it's kind of okay, and then it's my favorite album.
Yep.
So you got to stick with it, keep listening, and then it'll click eventually.
I'll tell you what I loved, Wes. I used to live out in the country and have to drive into the city to work back when I, first got out of college and whatever. And so back when CD players were a thing. And so I would buy a new album and I put it into my Z24 Cavalier CD player. And so I would hear almost the entire thing, like, 35, 40 minutes of it on my way to work, and then probably hear most of it again on the way home. And that would be my CD for the week. And by the time Friday rolled around, Wes, it was my new favorite album. Like, it was a great system I had. So every single week I had this way of consuming music. Now it's too easy to listen to whatever the hell you want to listen to. And so it's like, oh, Alexa, play me this. Alexa, play me that. And I listen to like one song at a time, and it fucking drives me crazy. I like to consume albums, not individual tracks. And I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, the music industry sucks now.
Yeah.
Even though everything is there and free and you can just grab it off YouTube or whatever you want to listen to is out there, easily available to stream at the click of a mouse. But with that said, like you said, there's no album continuity anymore. The sound quality isn't quite what it used to be. And now, since we're not buying albums, they make that money up with ticket sales. And if you tried to buy a ticket lately, Brian, because I have, and just to get regular, like lower arena seats to see Pantera and Lamb of God here is $150 a seat, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nuts.
Yeah. I miss the good old days, man. Like when here in Boston, there's a place called Great Woods, and you can get cheap lawn seats, just like lay out on the lawn. If it rains, you're fucked. Big deal. You only paid $35 for the tickets. But we saw every single band that came around, whether we were like in love with them or not. And it was the greatest thing ever, because I don't think you really get to experience a band properly until you've seen them live. And so that summer we saw, I don't know, 20 different bands that came by, and $35 a ticket, man. We got to see a lot of shows. Also did a lot of drugs.
$35 is the fucking Ticketmaster fees these days, man. It's crazy.
Right. Oh, man. Man, let's see what's happening in the chat real quick. We got Professor Lewis with the $5 tip, says the Sunday multiplayer survey is open. Oh, wow. Professor Lewis on top for his shit this week. She said, choose Galaxy Kart. That's my vote. Zenith the Last City, and Demio. Will it be kart racing or sorcery? Don't forget, it's happening December 17th, 2 p.m. Eastern. Guys, join our Discord. This is where multiplayer games happen all the time. If you're like, oh man, no one's ever playing the games I want to play. Guess what? We're always playing the games that you want to play. And if we don't vote for the game that you want to play this week for the Sunday multiplayer meetup, Nick Mulo, one of our amazing moderators, has made it insanely easy for you to just tag everybody who wants to play the game that you want to play. You just assign yourself the roles. Like if you want to know every time someone wants to play Walkabout Mini Golf, then assign yourself the Walkabout role, and then you will get tagged on Discord. So come join our Discord, and also while you're at it, go over to Virtual Strangers and subscribe to Wes's channel.
Please do.
I'm assuming you're kind of still on the hiatus, right, for the end of the year show.
We did a show this week, as promised. We came back on Sunday. We did some impressions of RE4. Sniper Elite Winter Warrior and Arizona Sunshine 2. And then we also named every of the 40 categories of awards we're giving out. 3.5 hour show on Sunday, but we got through it. And voting is live for a brief moment on our Discord right now. So anybody who's interested in hearing their voice be heard during our award ceremony, now's the time to go vote.
Amazing. I'm sort of in the same boat, Wes. I'm trying to get the award show together for, the award show's happening in 17 days over here on Without Parole. It's not going to be pretty. And so I'm sort of on hiatus too. Like I'm still doing GAMESCAST and hopefully doing PSVR this week for the next 2 weeks or so. But all hands on deck. This is what I'm doing right now is getting ready for the award show. And yes, we'll be opening up the voting to the public as well. So there's a lot of voting going on. Make sure your voice is heard, like Wes said, whether it be or both for the Virtual Strangers or Without Parole. When's your end of year show?
We're gonna go on January 1st, I think, New Year's Day.
Perfect, because mine's December 30th, and so that means you got lots and lots of content over the course of just a couple days. We will not step on each other's toes.
Yeah, it should be perfect. Everybody gets a nice day off to get trashed on New Year's Eve in between, and then wake up on New Year's Day for the 12-plus hour marathon that is the 2023 show.
Yeah, we're doing ours for the real party animals who start New Year's Eve 24 hours early. Let's see. We got Man Bear Pig Game Cat with the $2 tip. Says, I wish every PSVR2 game is as good as Resident Evil 4 at lunch. Did you eat Resident Evil 4, Man Bear Pig Game Cat? Did you eat it for lunch?
Delicious.
Yeah, dude, I know we've got a lot to talk about today, but I am very curious to hear your impressions of RE4. How much did you play? What are you feeling about it? Obviously, we've talked about it a lot over here, but I want to hear what you have to say.
I didn't play much. I haven't had much time to play VR, to be honest, with all the other stuff that's going on. But I did get in and check it out for a few hours on Saturday, I want to say. Maybe. Yeah, Saturday. It's good, man. I don't, the questions has always been, since we learned about this thing, what's going to be the better game, RE4 or RE Village? And I don't know. I honestly don't know what the answer to that question is going to be. They do seem to be very different games. Like, I thought they would be much more similar than they actually are. I think this feels more like a classic Resident Evil game, even though the graphics and stuff are redone and certainly more modern than even Village. I think the gameplay and the kind of menu system and the way everything works feels a little bit more like a classic game, for obvious reasons. But I like them both. To be honest, it's a bit more like the original than I was expecting. I wasn't expecting all of the quick time events and stuff to still be in there with the kicking and the jumping through the window. I thought we were past that, but it doesn't really bother me. I like that mechanic's still in there. If they took at least if they had taken the kick away, the balance would be way off on like the combat, especially when you're taking on large groups. So I'm digging it. It's good. It feels more like a remaster than I expected it. I expected it to be more of a new game.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep. I think you kind of nailed all my feelings on it. Except I fucking played the crap out of this week, and I'm still about 2/3 of the way through. So if you saw my conversation with AJ on Monday, I haven't made it much further than that. It's pretty much where I stopped because obviously shit to do. But man, I really do feel like the more you play of this game, the better it gets. And I honestly didn't feel that way about Village. I think there are great segments in Village, great areas of Village, except I do feel like, I don't know if this is a common feeling or not, but I'm sure the chat's about to let me know. I didn't like the last hour or so of Village. Like I thought that everything it was doing was just a little bit chaotic. The last boss fight was boring. So I felt like it was a good build up, and then eventually let me down. I'm very curious to see if Resident Evil 4 does the same thing, or if it kind of kicks ass right until the very end.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished Village. That's kind of on my to-do list for this week. Because I don't know if anybody's paying any attention to the voting for Game of the Year over on the Discord, but it is neck and neck, like literally even between GT7 and Resident Evil 8. So I think I have a duty to settle it once and for all.
You said duty.
I did.
Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat with the $5 tip says, so what you think about the End Dreams developer update on the roadmap of Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord? I'm hoping they add some great content. Wes, we're going to be bouncing around here in our run of show because why the fuck not? This was something we were going to talk about anyway, so let's do it. Ghostbusters Rise of the Ghost Lord, if you were paying attention over on the End Dreams channel, I don't even remember where this aired, honestly. But Nathan over there at End Dreams walked us through all of their plans that are coming up for Ghostbusters. Did you get a chance to watch this, Wes?
I did not. I skimmed through an article earlier today. I saw that that they said that there were two significant pieces of two new game modes, maybe is what they said, that are about to come to Ghostbusters. But I didn't read much deeper into it than that.
Well, let me tell you what I don't care about with Ghostbusters, and that's game modes. After playing Heist and Seek, which was garbage, I do not care about the Infested mode or whatever the fuck it's called that's coming soon. Does not I don't care about it at all. However, Nathan alluded to quite a few things that are happening. He talks about an expanded roadmap with new skins, or I guess new costumes, whatever you want to call them. These are they're actually the flight suit costumes, they're calling them, from the original Ghostbusters. So you'll actually be able to dress like the OG Ghostbusters, which is pretty cool. Then they said, the big thing coming in January, I believe, I hope I get all this right, is the Slimer Hunt game mode. Now, this is supposed to be, they're saying the right things here, Wes. I don't know if they're going to deliver, but they're saying these are more narrative infused, and they have the darker atmosphere, like scarier. And so to kind of like give us that tinge of like 1985 or 6, whatever it was, Ghostbusters, that like certainly hasn't been around in some of the newer materials that they've been putting out, whether it be the games or the movies. And that's pretty cool. I don't know exactly how these will play out, but I like the idea that they're going to be more narrative focused, because if you played the tutorial, the introduction to the game, I was like, I think that was the best part of this game.
Agreed. It's all good, be it new game modes, new skins. More for this game is good. It felt a bit incomplete. It felt a little early access. Yep. For what it's worth, I didn't hate the game. I enjoyed my time in it with friends. But it felt like it had the same things wrong with it that After the Fall had wrong with it, but it didn't have any of the good parts of what was good about After the Fall. So it's just kind of like bits and pieces of a much larger game that we're still waiting on.
Well, the one final thing that Nathan revealed during this 3-minute video is that there's going to be a big content drop that he did not say anything about in March to coincide with the new movie that's coming out. I don't know what that means, but he says he's really excited about it. Dude, we want every game to be good. I don't remember what I scored this, probably like a 5.5 or something like that. I thought it was really weak for what it was delivering, content-wise, gameplay-wise, everything. And so I'm really hoping that this ends up delivering in some way, because right now I just don't think it's where it needs to be.
Agreed. And I hope, and I know this is going to be in vain, but I hope that these content updates continue to be free until the game hits a certain threshold. I know that they sold like the base version of the game and then the deluxe version, which was a significant amount more money.
Yeah.
And that alludes to there being a lot more paid content down the road. I hope this big content drop in March isn't that, because if it
right.
is, I'll never know how good it is,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I have no idea. Like that it was so confusing, and I'm still confused now, even post-launch. What was that extra $20 for? Like what? I got a gold proton pack. As far as I know, I don't remember anything else. But like it would behoove them to continue to release content for everybody. Whatever. Keep the skins or whatever you want for the paid access, but like you can't hide game modes behind a deluxe edition, like for actual game modes. I don't know. I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah, I suppose, especially if this big content drop that's coinciding with the new movie is like a story campaign, that has something to do with the movie. That could be paid content, but I would much prefer that the original campaign get filled out a little bit, because it doesn't feel like much of a campaign.
Right. I agree. So that's that, man. That's what's happening over there with Ghostbusters. The Hippy Pickle. What's up, Hippy? With the 2 quid says, "It's my birthday. Here's a present." Wait, that's not right. Yeah, I don't think that's how that works at all. I could be wrong about that. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Hippy Pickle. He's old, man. He's catching up to us.
Oh, he must be old then.
Unintended Studios with the $5 tip says, "Beat Resident Evil 4. Oh, congratulations. You're ahead of me. The minecart was everything I hoped for. My only 2 gripes are the scope being super blurry. You know what? Yeah, it's not as clear as it could be. And no belt placement settings like in Propagation. Yeah, every so often I would try to grab ammo, shove it into my handgun, and then look down and realize I was trying to shove my knife into my handgun, which that's not a thing as far as I know.
So what did he say, that the scope was blurry, or the game in general?
No, the scope. So I've got the Stingray rifle, I believe, and I put the super powered scope on. I think you can zoom like 3 times, like click, 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 and it is a little blurry. It's not. I mean, it's not. It doesn't make anything unplayable, but it certainly isn't like crystal clear or anything.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm even like downplaying it a little bit. It is fairly blurry. I don't want to be like it's not crystal clear when it is blurry.
I've had people complain about the game in general being blurry, and that hasn't been my experience.
Yeah.
So my mind immediately goes to like what happened with Switchback, where people were complaining about that being super blurry when it wasn't for me. Have you heard very many people complaining about the resolution in this game?
Here and there. Like I've certainly seen the comments. I've been keeping an eye on all the comments. I haven't had time to reply like I used to. But a few people said, I don't see the hype. People are saying the environments are amazing. They're not. They're blurry. They're this. They're that. Whatever. And I'm a little surprised, right? Because people said the same thing about Village. People had complaints about Village, and now when they go back and they play Village, they're like, oh shit, did this get a graphics update? And it's like, no, you just remembered it being a lot worse than it was, and it's actually phenomenal. And I feel like Resident Evil 4 is going to age just fine. I don't know what people are expecting. I think it looks great.
Yeah, I do too. It looks wonderful.
The GameCat Andrew Ehrenreich, he simplified it with a $5 tip, says, the urge to sing The Lion Sleeps Tonight is always just a whim away, a whim away, a whim away. Happy West Day. A whim away. Anyway. Yeah, we've always lived in the Castle Marycat in the chat says, I've seen some pop-in textures here and there, but no big deal. Yeah, that's how I feel. It's like there's the fact that we're playing Resident Evil 4 in VR and it looks fucking incredible. I'm happy. I'm very happy with the way it looks.
Agreed. I haven't even really noticed much pop-in, to be honest.
Yeah. Wes, just before we went live, over on the Steel Wool Studios website, they released an announcement regarding the launch of Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, which is happening tomorrow. So let me do a couple things here. First, I want to change this goddamn trailer.
Ominous, Brian. I don't know what this announcement entails, but I always get nervous when we get these pre-launch day announcements.
Well, yeah, I didn't really have a chance to read through it, but I did get the cliff notes with some of the mods who were in chat with me before the show. So let's see what this has to say. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 VR launch. Again, this is over on steelwoolstudios.com, December 13, 2023. So 2023 has been a wild ride for FNAF fans, hasn't it? Yes, it has. The community has eaten well, and it's not even over yet. I guess they're referring to the movie. Tomorrow at 6 a.m. Pacific, that's 9 a.m. my time. I don't know about the rest of the world. Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 launches on PlayStation VR 2 and Steam VR. I'd like to share a few details about the game and its launch, as well as provide a short-term roadmap. Ooh, I like roadmaps. Help Wanted 2 contains about 40 mini-games, with the vast majority of them designed for replayability. Beyond tutorial content, we randomly generate what the player needs to do in the respective games. This includes customer orders in El Chips, Glam Rock, Roxy's fashion demands in the Glam Rock salon. Dude, there's so many Five Nights fans right now, like fucking screaming at me, that's not how you pronounce that. And I'm like really fucking sorry, because the font's really small and I don't know Five Nights as well as I'd like to. Emergencies and first aid. Turning up the beat in DJ Music Man's recording studio, as well as a bunch more that we're excited for you all to finally see. Our goal was to deliver gameplay you'd be able to enjoy for years to come. As for the narrative, it was probably best if you experience it firsthand. Be sure to try all the different career opportunities you're presented with. You just never know what'll speak to you. The launch version will be VR only. This is something I think a lot of people were curious about. But you can expect the flat/standard version in spring 2024. If you purchase the VR version, you are entitled to the flat version at no additional cost. The game will cost $40 at launch. I think that's a little more expensive, if I remember correctly, Wes, than Help Wanted 1. I think Help Wanted 1 was $30, and then the Curse of the Dreadbear DLC was like, it wasn't cheap. It was like another $20 or something like that. I forget what it was. So I
That's
don't.
right. But this sounds like it's going to be quite a bit of content, the way they're selling it here as a game that you'll be able to enjoy for years. I mean, that's pretty big statement.
That is a huge statement. I don't know how true it's going to end up being. Let's talk about what the next week is going to look like. On launch day, we're going to do what we always do: watch you play the game. We genuinely love seeing how much y'all enjoy what we've made, and it really reinvigorates the passion we have for making games. That's step one. Step two is all about diligence, keeping our eye out for any unexpected balance issues or bugs that may have slipped through the cracks. Now, if there's a serious game-breaking bug that suddenly appears, we will start working to address it immediately, keeping everyone updated as we do. We're not all expecting that to happen. We're not at all expecting that to happen, but we are absolutely prepared for it. Overall, we're absolutely over the moon for what's going out the door, and I can speak for the whole team when I say that we're completely proud of what we've built. It has the laughs, screams, and vibe that we targeted, bar none. Still, that overwhelming joy doesn't stop us from saying to ourselves, I wish I could have done just one more bit of polish. So to that end, we're planning on doing a larger patch in early 2024. It won't be a massive feature addition or contain narrative changes. We're focused on quality of life patch. We've got things that we already know we'd like to improve, but we're also eager to hear your opinions about things like gameplay clarity and balance. Obviously, we won't be able to do everything that the community brings up, but we still want to hear it all. The more we know about how the gameplay feels, the better the patch will be. For our PC folks who are planning to use a Quest headset, we discovered a problem just last night that we need to scream from the rooftops so folks are aware. Only 13 days ago, a new app was released on the Oculus app for the Steam Link support, and because it's less than 2 weeks old, our game doesn't support it. Your inputs will not work when you launch the game. We are planning to fix this in our quality of life patch, launching the game through Oculus Link and Steam VR, while using actual link cable is the best way to play on PC. Yeah, the rest of this doesn't seem to really pertain.
Now they're talking about console and support and flat stuff from here on out, it looks like.
Yep. So, this comes from Ray McCaffrey. I saw people concerned that that the game comes out tomorrow and that there were no reviews or anything out. But rest assured, we have keys, and we're going to be checking this game out hopefully tonight and doing whatever we can to talk about it. Obviously, there's a, from my end, and I think from Wes's end, there's definitely a problem here, because we have all this other shit we need to be doing, and so diving into Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2 is not, unfortunately, a priority right now. But doesn't make me any less excited for this game, Wes.
Oh, I can feel the excitement because my children ask me about it 4 times a day. Like, have you got a key yet? Is it coming out? Can I go ahead and do tomorrow's schoolwork so that I can just play FNAF tomorrow? Like, they're legit pumped for it. And this sounds like it's a whole new game. What they've been telling me is like the first one was, a lot of it was the original Five Nights games re-released in VR, and they were expecting something similar here, like, because there's so many like side projects and different games that weren't part of like the original timeline, that they were expecting kind of a repeat here. But this sounds to me like it's a whole new game made primarily for VR that's coming to flat later, which is cool.
It seems like there is a focus here on the sister location game, that a lot of those will be remade into VR, but luckily that seems to be a favorite with the fans, so I think we're in for a good time. Yeah, new games, remade old games. I'm excited, man. It looks like a lot of stuff going on here.
Yeah, and I want to give these guys every benefit of the doubt because they're doing it the right way. VR first, and then bring the flat support. That's beautiful.
This is how hybrid games should work.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. No, not even really for most games. Like most, I think we've talked about this at length before, but I think most VR games would be terrible flat screen games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of them would. The best ones though would work. That's the thing. The problem is that most VR games are small budget indie games,
Yeah.
and yeah, designed primarily around doing things with your hands, which doesn't really translate to a gamepad. But the big ones, right? The big budget ones that are a bit more like a traditional game, I think many of those would work.
Do you think something like Walking Dead Saints and Sinners would work? Because that's the one I always think of when I go, man, this is so good in VR. But if I think about playing it on a flat screen, I'm like, this is a fucking terrible zombie game on a flat screen. Because like so much of what works in that game is like actually grabbing your backpack, actually swinging the weapons, actually reloading manually. These are the things that like really add to the tension, the immersion, and I feel like it would just be fucking boring on the flat screen. I don't know if that's a thing or not.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
This is how we feel about gaming in general. Like when we think about playing anything on the flat screen, like you mean I can't shoot and aim down the sights and like swing a machete through the thing's head? Like that sounds terrible.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. We are jaded VR gamers. VR is the way forward. Everything else is wrong. Yep, it's true. I don't think we certainly don't speak for everybody, but as far as that's concerned, we're definitely speaking for ourselves. Wes, when the fuck is Vertigo 2 coming out?
Shit, man. I guess when they stop finding bugs, who knows at this point. I feel bad. I do because I played it and I know what it is and I know how it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And while there's no shortage of stuff to play right now, I was really optimistic that people would get this game this year.
Yep.
Now I do have to say that when they initially announced that this game was coming this year, I was very surprised because, again, I know what this game is. I know how big the team is that's working on it. And they only started working on it, I think, in April or something like that. Wow. Something ridiculous. So the fact that it's even like possibly going to launch this year is amazing. Is it? But I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea what the specifics are of the things that they're working on. Mm-hmm. But I do know that the standard of quality is high, and they're aiming to launch a perfect game. And that could be tomorrow, and that could be next month. I have no clue.
Well, yeah, it's the answer's sort of been all over the place because we're all trying to read into any clues that we're given, and if you go over to Twitter, then the Perp Games is saying, read the sign, Vertigo 2 is coming very, very is in capital letters, very soon to PSVR 2. And I did read the sign that they're pointing to in this video clip, and it means absolutely fucking nothing. So they're saying very soon in capital letters. Now, I believe it was last week, there was a new release date of like January 15th or something along those lines. I don't remember the exact date, but it was sometime mid-January that showed up on the PlayStation Store. And everyone said, Brian, is this legit? And I was like, dude, I fucking trust the PlayStation Store like I trust people I don't trust. Because I don't fucking trust whoever's running the PlayStation Store. And then that date disappeared. And then today, very briefly, Wes, very briefly, a December 15th release date popped up on the PlayStation Store, then quickly got removed. So it could be coming out fucking Friday, dude. But I have no idea. This is one thing. Like, again, I'm so buried in what I'm doing, and despite the fact that I talk to Perp almost every other day, who, by the way, are co-sponsoring the award show. So I'm definitely talking to them frequently. This is the one question I haven't asked them because as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, whatever. It comes out when it comes out. I've got shit to do, But like, I just hope that if it is coming out Friday, that they've taken care. They said they found a game-breaking bug. I also found game-breaking bugs that I reported to them that I'm sure they squashed. And I'm just hoping that they really are taking their time and making sure that this game is everything we want it to be when it releases on PSVR 2. We don't want this to be something that we're waiting to become good. Say, oh, we know this is going to be a good game. We don't want another Green Hell experience.
It launched on PC with game-breaking bugs, but they fixed it in a day. Like literally by day 2, the patch was out. It was all good to go, and it was like beautiful from that point forward. So I'm not surprised that they're having issues with it. This is a ambitious project. So yeah, now that I hear you say that, I think it might come out Friday. Like, what was it the last? Was it the last release date on a Friday?
I don't know. You heard it here first. If we're right, then tell everybody that we were right. If we were wrong, then fucking pretend like this conversation never happened.
Well, see, I know you don't have much trust in the PlayStation Store because sometimes they'll give these weird far off dates that turned out just to be placeholder dates.
Yeah.
But they nailed Arizona Sunshine 2 a couple months ago.
It's true.
When the very same thing happened.
Yep.
And
we headlined with that shit, and then Vertigo stopped talking to me because they were just like, "We're so done with you."
Right. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Vertigo's fine. We're fine. I believe everything's fine. I think these are things that I'm concerned about. Every day I wake up and go, "Man, who's mad at me today?"
You can't do that. Fuck them all.
So, dude, the answer is we have no idea when this game is coming out. Could be Friday, could be next month. We have no idea. Either way, shit happens. Wes, do you think console gamers are just kind of used to? I mean, like obviously in the last few months, the last year, we've certainly gotten games that when they release, we're like, oh man, like this doesn't look as good as it should. Frame rate problems, this, that, whatever, right? And then we get upset. Is it because console gamers have been like so used to having their games optimized for their console for so long that like now when we kind of have releases like PC has always dealt with, that like we're just not used to it, and because of what's the way we've been treated for like years, or do you think this is, I don't know.
I mean,
weird theory.
There's probably some of that going on for sure, because obviously the standard of quality with new releases has fallen dramatically over the last few years.
Right.
And that's for everyone. It's for console players, it's for PC gamers, it's for traditional and VR. I don't know what's to blame for it. It seems like the culture increasingly is becoming more about hitting deadlines than delivering a product that you can be proud of, and you know, who knows why that is the case. But yeah, I think for so many years, console gamers, they weren't even aware of these, like frame rate. What's that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the game just worked. You didn't have to think about micro stutters or frame drops or any of this stuff. But it seems like lately, over the last few years, that most studios are so, I don't know, so driven to push the boundaries of what the hardware can do, that we're always trying to do just a little too much. And you know, eventually they get it, you know, but sometimes that happens when it's way too late and you've already tarnished your reputation and had to eat a bunch of refunds. So
yeah,
I don't know what's behind it, but I definitely have noticed it.
Yeah, we've certainly seen, the industry kind of came crashing down this year to a certain extent, right? I mean, like so many studios closed and so many people lost their jobs and really unfortunate stuff. And so, you know, when everything is, when obviously, you know, businesses that are based around a capitalistic society can only survive if they're making money or are only warranted to stay open by their parent company if they're a certain level of profitability. Like that's why these games get rushed out. That's why these games studios are getting shut down. Just I don't know. I guess I just wish that a lot more of these publishers could see the long-term vision and be like, oh, you guys broke even on your last game, but you know what? Like there's a lot of potential here. Like hopefully your next game blows it out of the water or something along those lines. I just feel like game studios are getting shut down that like didn't even have a chance. It's like really unfair.
Yeah, it does kind of suck, and a lot of it has to do with the state of the economy and the state of the world. I mean, there's not as much extra money to go around toward entertainment as there was just a few years ago, and typically the people that hits the hardest are the people who deserve it the least. So it is unfortunate, and it is true.
Indeed. And as certain people in the chat have pointed out, this has been happening for a while. I'm like, it's true. Ever since we had the ability to patch games, PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, then developers have had an excuse, or publishers have had an excuse to push out a game. We'll fix it later. So we've got to work around.
You know what it could be? There for the longest time, advancements in hardware in terms of like graphics processors was just sheerly horsepower, right? The processors were able to do a lot more, and therefore the software developers were able to just push that into the games as much as possible. The last couple of generations, or maybe it's been every other generation in PC, there have been significant new technologies unveiled. DLSS, FSR, new ways to optimize games, ray tracing, all of this stuff is all really relatively new from a technical perspective. And all of these developers, whether they're making a console game or they're making a PC game, they're all developing them on PCs. And I'm sure they're trying to use as much of that stuff as they can. And this could just be studios getting a grip on the new normal. Right, even Unreal Engine 5 with the Nanite and the Lumen and all of this stuff, it's all very new. So I'm sure that a lot of these games that come out, especially the cross-platform ones, would run well on a 4080 or a 4090 in a PC. For those of you who don't know, that's a $1,200 to $1,500 graphics card or more. But the console versions, it takes a little while to optimize them to get them to keep up. All speculation, but it's a theory that makes sense.
And on that note, it's time to move on. We got Ben L of the GameCat Army says, "Hey Brian, level 3 membership, by the way. Thank you so much for the support." Says, "Hey Brian, if you're still looking for benefits you can give members, how about bringing over some of the emojis from Discord for members to use here? No clue if that would work, but good luck." I also have no idea if that would work, but I will absolutely do my best. Like, that sounds like a great idea. So thank you for the suggestion. I'll get my best men right on it. Grandpa's Barbecue or Game Cat with the Australian $5 tip says, "I agree. Would love to see..." Let's see what he agreed to before I get excited. "I agree. Would love to see the new game from No Man's Sky developers to release VR version first, then flat. Also starts to educate consumers that VR is the future." Yes. I think the chances of that happening are, what's lower than 0? Because, yep. But I agree. It would be really cool to start seeing a little bit more of this, a little bit more of these big games get VR support first and then come to flat screen. I think it would definitely convince a few people to pull the trigger and buy a headset.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking when you mentioned that about the Five Nights at Freddy's. It's like, it might not sell thousands of headsets, but it's definitely going to sell some headsets. People, like the fanboys, are not going to want to wait for this. And if they have a console, they're probably going to go to a headset to play it.
Very likely. Who we got next? We got Flippy Nuggets. Flippy Nuggets. I love it. Australian $5 tip says, "Picked up a hard copy of Resident Evil 4 for $9.50 Australian after trading a couple of old games. To say I feel like I got my money's worth would be a gross understatement." Hell yeah. An amazing, amazing deal. Whew. Yeah. There were some people complaining on Friday's show when Miles and I just had our first impressions about Resident Evil 4. They're saying, how can you possibly complain about a free patch? And I was like, well, I get that for everybody who bought Resident Evil 4, when it came out, and now this is a free patch for them. Most of us in this community didn't have the game already and said, "Oh, this is great. The game I've already paid for and already played, I got a free patch." And most of us bought the game because of the free patch. And so for me, it's not like, oh, I got a free VR version of a game on top of something I already own. No, this is what I bought. I basically paid, and luckily I got it for $30. But yeah, so I mean, it's just one of those random things. Why did I even mention that? Oh, because Flippy Nuggets was talking about how we got Resident Evil 4 so cheap, and I feel like I got a deal for $30 too. Like, that is a steal. So, again, hard to complain. So maybe they were right to begin with.
You want to talk about lucky that you got it for $30? So this was on sale for weeks for $30 in the holiday sales, and procrastinate as I always do. I let it come and go, and then they announced that the VR patch is coming out, and now it's $60. So like I wait right up until the game basically drops to
same
buy
thing.
it again. I bring it up on my screen, $60 right that morning, $60. I get sidetracked before I can hit the button to buy it and pay for it, and then by the time I got back to it, it was on sale.
Wow,
and I got it for 30. But
that's the definition of lucky right there.
Yeah, I was completely prepared to pay the full price for it, and was happy to do so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was the exact same way. I was like, oh, I didn't pick it up on discount. I didn't pick it up on discount when it was, when it was cheap, and because I was expecting, I think like a lot of us were like we didn't quite believe the PlayStation blog post when they said coming later this year. We're like, we're not really sure what to believe. And so I was like, I'll just wait. It'll probably go on sale again. And then next thing we know, it's like, oh shit, it's coming out next week, and it's not on sale anymore. God damn it.
Right.
Yeah, worked out for me though too. I didn't come nearly as close to paying full price as you did, but I waited till the day of that it was coming out, and I was very happy to see that it went on sale that day. Real lucky.
Yeah, I'm happy about it. This is something I love to do. Is when we get one of these flat games that come into VR, I like to buy them when they get the VR support, so that the studio, so that Sony knows why these copies were sold specifically for the VR support.
Yep, agreed. And again, just like they did with Resident Evil 7 and Village, I believe they were able to keep a track of how many people. Well, obviously, right? They're easily keeping track of how many people are playing the VR mode, because you actually have to buy the VR patch separately for free. Like you have to purchase it, you have to redeem it on the PlayStation Store. So all they have to do is see how many people fucking redeem that, right? And so, really, really hoping those are big numbers, because dude, Resident Evil 4 is such a big game. Such a big game. I feel like 9 out of 10 people I talk to, what's their favorite game of all time? They give me a top 10 list. Number 1 is always Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
So, what's the point of all this? What's the point of any of it, Wes? What are we doing here?
We're working up to Resident Evil 2 remake.
I hope so. I hope so. That's
if I could pick one. If I could pick one, what it would be? It would be Resident Evil 7 remake. That's what I want.
Yeah, I don't know. That's funny. Like if you gave me the option, I think we talked about this recently on GAMESCAST. If you had the option of 2 remake in 7 brought to PSVR2, I think I'd have to go with 2. I think I would, because I already played 7 to death. Do I want it? Absolutely. But I'd rather play a new one.
But you haven't played 7 remake.
True. Jack's even bigger and scarier now than he was before.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what I want. I want Resident Evil Dead Aim. It's like it's the PlayStation 2 GunCon 2 light gun shooter where you actually use the D-pad to run around the cruise ship in third person and then still shooting at the screen. Like, I mean, it didn't work terribly well, because who wants to use a D-pad to play a third person game on PlayStation 2?
Somebody make that happen. Well, we should be able to make this happen through emulators.
Hell yeah.
Do it, somebody. If you're watching this and you have the ability, go do it.
Wes, you've been around for a while. Been around the block a few times.
That's what I hear.
What's the word about epic Rollercoasters?
It's not good, Ryan. I mean, it's okay, but it's not good. It doesn't. I hate to shit on this game based upon the experience I had 4 years ago or whenever it was that I tried it.
Yep.
But it didn't live up, man. And I don't know if that's because it's as bad as I really think it is, or if it's because my first experience in a VR roller coaster was Rush of Blood, and then nothing ever lived up to that afterwards. But my recollection of epic roller coasters was subpar graphics, movement that didn't really feel like you were moving in VR, and then frame rate that would turn your stomach. Maybe it's better now.
Did you play on Steam?
Yeah, I did. I played it on Steam.
Okay, because I played on Quest. This was when I first got my Quest 1. I was like, let's see what this is about. I went on the Quest store, just downloaded anything free that I could find, and this is that. And so I didn't like the free track that it came with, and so I didn't have any desire to pay for any paid DLC. But looking over on the Steam store, it seems like about 20 or 30 pieces of DLC have come out, and SpongeBob, which is $10 DLC, comes with like 5 roller coasters. Why are we talking about this? We're talking about this because it showed up on the PlayStation Store. Is actually available right now to download for free to play. You get your first coaster for free, and then all the other DLC will be paid. It is on the PlayStation Store. It is available now in Australia and New Zealand, which means that likely by tomorrow it'll be available everywhere. I'm interested to see if these developers gave a fuck about smoothing out the experience, making it play better for PlayStation VR2 than it does on other platforms. Because, like I said, my Quest experience sounded pretty damn similar to your PC experience. And dude, this is kind of what I want, right? Like, I mean, a roller coaster platform where every couple months, here's another $3 track you can buy. Here's another $3 coaster. Check this shit out. But if it's not good, it's not good. So what's the point?
Yeah, it's the biggest no-brainer concept in VR history, and for some reason nobody can deliver on it. Yeah, I mean this is the type of shit VR was made for, is to go on roller coaster rides, and you're right. It wouldn't take a ton of development time or resources for somebody to put out a nice polished track every 3 months, right? For a few dollars, and they could sell it forever. But after Rush of Blood, I went on a search to find the VR roller coasters. Let's find the good VR roller coasters, and there just weren't any. I mean, there weren't any, and this, this was one of the better ones, but it still wasn't good enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? It still wasn't anything that made me want to go back and spend any money or time in it. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully it is better now. Hopefully they put some haptics in here and really polished up some of this stuff. I want it to be good enough that I'll try just to see, because I want it to be good.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm skeptical.
Adam Luke in the chat says Ultra Wings 2 is coming soon. Indeed it is. The last I heard from them, they were planning on getting out before the end of the year, which is really soon. So we could be seeing that very soon. I'm assuming they haven't passed Sony QA, because if they had, we'd have a release date, my guess is, or the game would be out. But this also goes for a few things. It seems like Breachers got kind of held up in QA. That Cube VR we've been looking forward to, that suddenly went from being this year to no release date. So there's a lot of games imminent that just kind of fell off the radar a little bit, and they could drop at any time. Meaning the already fucking chaotic, crazy month that we've been having is about to get even crazier.
That's par for the course these days, right? Like, this is just how it goes. We will have a drought for a month, and then we'll have another month where you just can't breathe for all the games.
Right. Yep. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Dude, I mean, and this just goes for, so Epic Rollercoasters dropped randomly. We didn't expect that to happen. Chernobyl again is listed on the PlayStation Store suddenly, no release date. Cooking Sim VR trophies are now live. So that was a game I don't believe we even knew was coming. We don't have a release date, but when trophies go live, you can always expect it's not more than a couple weeks away at best. I mean, this is just craziness. And then Wes, there's the two games that we played for today's show, both of which are also coming out very shortly. Let's start with Vetrix Worlds. You and I just played this together mere hours ago.
Indeed,
you want to get the ball rolling while I get some footage up here?
Yeah. So this is a game that's been out for a while on other platforms. With that said, I've never quite had the urge to play it, because, like so many other VR games, the flat screen footage of it does it no justice.
No.
But since this is the thing that came out this week and the thing we could talk about, we decided to check it out. And I was pleasantly surprised with it. I, being someone who does enjoy Tetris from time to time,
Yep.
I feel like this is a pretty fresh and unique take on that in VR that really takes advantage of the the 3-dimensional aspects of VR, and the fact that you can play with friends in so many different ways. Another big plus for me.
Yeah, the footage that you're seeing now is from my perspective, and that person on the other side of the wall for me is West, and we're playing. This is a co-op mode, and so you can see that just like Tetris, you're building with very similar looking blocks. They are actually, some of them are in 3 dimensions, so they go either too wide and too deep, and so but the entire game board goes 2 spaces deep. So it's got a layer that you normally have with Tetris, but it also goes another layer. Now, at first, I was like, oh, Wes is building his side and I'm building my side, which is, I thought, I was like, this is going to get chaotic because there's going to be missing blocks here and there that I can't see on your side. But then there's a button below that spins the entire board. So you can spin the entire playfield 180 degrees. So I can take over your side, or you can take over my side, or however you want to do it. And I was intrigued by these trailers, but I was sort of with you. I was like, yeah, this doesn't look terribly fun, but it could be fun to be grabbing these Tetris pieces with your hand and then physically placing them onto the board. And there's something very cool about that. I love the way that this game feels to play. And it's very similar to Tetris. When you get into the rhythm, at first you're like, where does this go? Turning, and you're twisting your hand in weird ways. But you get into a rhythm where eventually you're just like, grab the piece, place it, grab the piece, place it, grab the piece, place it, grab the piece, place it. And it's like you're in that Tetris rhythm. And so this actually satisfies that same. It scratches the same itch that Tetris itself does, I think.
Right. But it adds new wrinkles in too, because now that it is in 3D and you're placing the blocks by hand, you can leave holes. And if you have a block that's in the shape of the hole, you don't have to clear the top layers. You can literally just stick it in the hole and clear the line, which is really cool. And it makes you have to think about the puzzles a different way. So like now it's not so bad if you leave a hole, as long as the hole's got the right shape to it, right? Yeah. And with it being too deep and something like 12 wide, it makes it like doubles the possibilities of how you can put the blocks in there now, because you can turn them on all 3 axes and fit them in. So it gives you a lot more to think about than a standard 2D Tetris would. And that's just if you're playing in the classic mode. There's a mode that has special blocks that have special properties that really make it a very different game than any kind of Tetris game I've ever played before.
Yeah, those special blocks that you're referring to are stressful. I mean, like so when they show up, I don't know what mode we're watching right now, but we did certainly try them, so they should be appearing at some point here. The special blocks, they're green, and when you place them down, a timer starts counting down, and it's not like, oh, the counter goes down every time somebody takes a turn. No, it's just counting down the seconds until like it either ends the game or hurts your score or something. Like I'm still learning the ins and outs, exactly what's going on. But yeah, it adds a whole new level of stress to Tetris. And then also these green blocks will appear at the top where you have to clear those lines as well. And all those have different properties. This is Magic the Gamecast says, what is Wes talking about again? This is Vetrix Worlds. It's the game that's on the screen right now. It's by the way, it comes out December 21st. So this is an early preview. Just consider this the review, because I won't have time to review it until next month or the month after. It comes out the 21st. It is $15. Well, on Steam, it's $15. We're really hoping that it's the same price over here on PlayStation. But that's just, dude, the mode that we just described is one of the co-op modes. I believe we did score or time attack. I can't remember which ones we did. I think we might have done both. But we also did a competitive mode where each of us are basically standing next to each other. And so we're not facing each other anymore using the same board. We're standing next to each other, both with identical Tetris boards that we're filling up and placing in the whole thing. And I found that to be just as much fun as the co-op mode.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it makes me wonder because I didn't get a chance to try out all the modes. Like I don't even know. Did we even try survival mode? I don't think we did we?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. We were certainly low on time, so we got a few games in, and yeah. Oh, and what you're seeing here on the screen is the competitive mode. So over to my right, Wes is playing. You just can't see him because he's off screen.
But I mean, I want to go back in and check out that survival mode because that was kind of my style. Playing regular Tetris is I'm not necessarily setting up 10 moves ahead to score points, but I want to see how long I can stay alive.
Oh, for sure.
And out of all the different kind of modes that we played today, they were all timed modes, and you play for a while and then it's over. I want to see how that survival mode goes and see if it's something that you can really, that has like a scaling difficulty and that sort of thing.
Yeah. After we were done with our so the only stage we had unlocked is the France stage.
France.
Parlez-vous. And so yeah, you're on this rooftop. It seems like there's at least 5 other stages. And so I was like, okay, let me play the campaign really fast. I mean, obviously wasn't going to succeed really fast, but I wanted to check it out really fast. And I had a good time with it, man. It was, it was single player, and you go through and you basically are just trying to beat certain scores in order to check certain boxes. And once you've done that, you go to, level 2 in World 1. So World 1 is France, and I made it to like the 3rd world before I finally had to call it quits and say I got to do GAMESCAST. But so I'm very interested in going back and seeing what else this game has to offer, what the other stages look like. It's yeah, man. I mean, like I 100% can tell you, like, if you're not a VR gamer, I don't think this footage sells you on the game, right? But you can feel what it would be like to be in this world and grabbing these blocks by hand. Is this a way you want to play Tetris, and do you want to play with your friends? And if the answer is yes, then like I think this is a no-brainer, personally.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's not Tetris Effect, but it's a very different game than Tetris Effect at the same time. It offers up something very different.
Super physical, like, because you're just...
Yeah. And plus it feels good. I mean, the sound effects and the haptics make it satisfying to place the blocks and to score. So you can tell this game's been out for a little while and has had some work done on it because I mean, for what it is, it's fairly polished. Which again wasn't really something I was expecting with it.
Yep. We'll answer a couple questions and then we'll get on to the other game that we played for GAMESCAST today. What do we got here? Oh, we got Drat Ebb with the level 1 membership says dead aim would have been perfect for the aim. Agreed. There's a lot of things that would have been perfect for the aim controller. Still think Ghostbusters would have been the perfect aim controlled game. It just makes sense to me. Power Wash Simulator would have been perfect. Missed the boat on these. Big time.
Yeah, I agree.
Wes, 10 months in to PSVR2, yay or nay, you'd like an aim controller?
I don't know. I don't want to answer this yet because I have my ProTube here and I haven't really messed around with it at all. I've been waiting on breachers to come out so that I could have an excuse to try out the ProTube. But I feel like if the games give us control options that would allow us to play a game kind of in the same style as an aim controller game, that I won't miss it. The question is how many games are going to give us those options? Outside of Firewall Ultra, I don't know that any will. But I want to reserve judgment on this because I've always been a proponent for having a new aim controller. I've said it for years leading up to the launch of PSVR2 that I don't want to use a gun stock. I want my damn controller that feels like a gun in my hand. Even if I have to press a button to reload, it's fine. But again, I want to try and see. All right, we've got what is known as pretty much the leader when it comes to gun stocks.
Yep.
So it deserves a fair shot.
I got my Pro Tube in the box. I got my Vader 1 out of the box. That's as far as I've gone with either of them. Certainly after the new year, AJ and I talked about doing an accessories episode of GAMESCAST Live, because between lenses, between little things that you can attach to the headset itself to make it more comfortable. I mean, gunstocks. I just got my grip to putter for Walkabout, just showed up in the mail. Like, I'm drowning in accessories, Wes, which wasn't good because I was already drowning in video games. So, yeah, we'll get around to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
3 Dealer in the chat with $5 tip. I like this one. It says, tech question. Does the PS5 projecting to the television, he's asking about the social screen, does that limit the power for output to the headset? Could they increase horsepower by turning off that output? Easy answer is no. It doesn't affect it, because all they're doing is just showing on screen what one of the lenses is seeing. Like it's just taking that and shoving it onto the screen. That's the easy answer. And so no, in that sense, if they just use the default way of using the social screen, then no. However, developers do have a certain amount of control regarding what's on the social screen. And depending on what they do with the output, it can use up some horsepower. I think most developers just leave it as is, but I've certainly seen a few instances that change it up a little bit. And Wes, if you have any corrections on that, I'd love to hear them.
No corrections. In fact, this is a question I've often wondered about myself. You would think that there would be some level of resources that go into projecting that extra image. Now, they're not. They don't have to generate the extra image. You're absolutely right. It's just mirroring it to a display. So it's not like rendering it 3 times. So if there is any kind of resources going to it, it's probably not much. But I've often wondered why there isn't an option to just disable the social screen and divert whatever it is that they are using into maybe giving us another frame or 2 per second.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that brings us to the other game that we played for today's show, and it's Towers and Power, or Towers and Powers. I'm never going to get this right. I apologize for the rest of the show. If I call it Towers of Power, it's because that was the name of a massive bong somebody had at their house when I was in high school.
I cleared it in one breath. Right.
People would
get on the steps. I had to get on the steps to clear it, but I did it. Didn't even cough.
People would come to school on Monday bragging about saying the exact same shit. Cleared it, no problem. Yeah, oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well, it was tough. It took practice, but we made it.
Did we go to the same high school? God damn it.
Maybe. I was in college, but
I don't remember college. I'm not told. If it wasn't for my diploma, I wouldn't be 100% certain that I ever went. My parents don't like that joke. They're like, we fucking paid for that shit.
Right. I'm still paying for it. Jesus.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gone if they didn't pay for it. So there's that. Yeah, Towers and Powers, man. This is actually coming out tomorrow, so this is a much more imminent game. This is, I believe, it's already listed on the PlayStation Store for $16.99. This is a tower defense game. And man, at least for the first few levels, it seems pretty standard fare as far as tower defense stuff goes. I started up, thought this looks pretty. This has nice, very colorful environments, nice use of the OLED, really make those things pop. And then I tried to get through the tutorial and I said, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't know if you had the same experience, Wes, but I need to sometimes, especially with genres that I don't play a lot, I need to be held by the hand and said, this is what this means and this is what this means. And this game does not do that very well. It tends to explain things a little late. Like after you've already dealt with them for a while, then it explains it. And sometimes it just explains things and says, this is what this is. And then you're like, what the fuck does that mean? However, outside of that, once you kind of get the hang of it, and once you get used to all the controls and what's happening in this world, I feel like it's a lot of fucking fun, and I'm having a blast. I've only finished the third world, I believe, and there's 15. However, Miles is further than us, and he said it took him a couple hours just to get to World 5, I believe. So the pace does slow down, but you're constantly learning new things. Wes, are you much of a tower defense person?
You know, it's interesting that you asked me this because every time anybody's ever asked me this, I say no, I'm not really into tower defense. Now, with that said, I can't think of one that I've played in VR that I didn't somewhat enjoy. Like, it seems like this isn't the type of game I go searching out, like when I'm looking for something to play.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever I have played it, or any of them, they typically turn out to be pretty good and pretty fun and pretty engaging. I mean, we were 5 minutes late starting the stream today because I was towers and powers, man. I was stuck in there and I lost track of time.
Cleared it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, man, I mean, it's not really my cup of tea, not the type of thing I go looking for. But it's a polished game. It's pretty well put together, and confusing tutorial aside, it's pretty easy to pick up.
Yeah. I'm the same way, man. Like there are tower defense games in my past that I was like, oh yeah, no, I remember that fondly. Like Pixel Junk Monsters, the first one. Like I just heard it was a good game. I played it. PS3, I think. Vita, I don't fucking remember, man. It's been a long time. But I spent hours and hours and hours with that game. I spent a lot of time with that. And I do think that this is I don't know where it's going to go, but they do introduce some things at the very, very beginning of the game. In the tutorial, they tell you to push, I got this, circle, and then draw a circle on the screen, and then like comets or meteors come flying down from the heavens and kill everything. And I was like, that's so cool. And then but that's the tutorial, and you don't actually have that power when you start the game. And so you're like, oh, you taught me that way too fucking early. But I think they did it because they were like, don't worry, the game gets cooler later. Like it's just like a preview of what's to come. And so these are the type of powers that you have as like this, as this ActRaiser type overlord, whatever, who can intervene when it comes down to it. But what you're primarily doing is, killing as many monsters as you can that are coming to attack your village or whatever, or attack your palace, and then you kill them all. The better you do, the more money you make, and then you can buy more shit between rounds or even during rounds. Seems, and just kind of build up different towers, things that will spawn barricades, on a cooldown. And there's actually a lot to do in first person, which I really like. I wasn't sure how VR-ified this VR tower defense game was going to be, but I actually thought they did a pretty good job, at least from what I've seen so far. They give you a lot to do in first person, and I think that worked for me.
Yeah, that's where really the challenge of the game comes from, is kind of the multitasking that you're able to do as things get intense, and as they give you more things to do with your hands during the attack, so to speak. This is kind of always has been the one thing that sets these tower defense games apart from one another. The ones I've played in VR, that is how much first person stuff do they give you to do, and the best ones tend to be the ones that give you the most first person stuff to do, and the worst ones are the ones that are just standard tower defense games. At least so far, this one, I mean, it's pretty, I don't want to call it average because it's so polished, and it is a good game if you like this sort of thing. But I think of other games that I've played, like Captain Toonhead, for example. Oh. Captain Toonhead lets you set the thing up very similar to this, but then when the attack starts, not only do you go first person, but you go down to ground level, and it's a first person shooter while the attack's happening. There's a game called Jenny and Thaco, which came out on Steam for a little while. That again, same sort of thing here, where you build your towers up, the attack starts, you go down into first person, and that one's like spell casting, gesture based. So you're fighting along with the things. This one doesn't quite go that far, but what it does do is it gives you the ability, or at least early on. You're right. We haven't played deep into it, and it could pick up a lot later. But at least what it does do early on is it gives you the ability to kind of throw things at the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like you know what the vibe reminds me a lot of. Good Goliath, like the art
Oh
style, the
wow,
kind of vibe of the game.
yeah,
It feels a lot like Good Goliath, only now there's tower defense.
interesting. Yeah, Good Goliath is kind of a tower defense game in like almost a reverse tower defense. It's been a while since I played, man. I don't actually remember. But yeah, you're right. It does have a Good Goliath feel to it. A game which I gave a 7 to. I don't think it deserved that at all, but I think we were in a fucking crazy ass dry spell, and I was so happy.
I really liked it. I like Good Goliath. I thought it was fun.
It was good. It wasn't a 7 good, but it was good. Yeah, dude. Oh, so I mean, yeah, the first person stuff you're doing in this game, it's like, so there'll be a Viking ship that's just casually going by and then fires a cannonball, and you can grab that shit out of the sky and then throw it down on some bigger enemies that are coming by to help out your towers, take down the enemies. There'll also be just like random power ups that are floating by, and so some just give you more coins. One looks like a snowflake, which will freeze the enemies or slow them down. One I believe is fire and like lights everything on fire. There's just lots of stuff to be doing. Like if you're just looking down at the map and taking care of stuff like setting up barricades and making sure you're doing that, then you're missing out on all this other shit that like would be really beneficial to you. And so far, at least, I feel like they've VRified this enough for me to be interested. Good Goliath was a 6. Nihilist Ryan. 6. But yes, it was good. I also gave Toss like a 6.5, so that's kind of my low end good. The point is, knowing what they showed us in the tutorials and knowing that at some point you are casting, and causing big things to happen, really makes me excited to play the next few levels and see what else they add to the experience.
Agreed. Because it's already starting to get kind of difficult to keep up with all of it, right? With the stuff that's flying at you and the different types of things you kind of have going off on timers all around you, where you give yourself the biggest advantage by being able to manage and stay on top of all of that while the battle's going on. And you're right. We're just in level 3 out of 15. And we haven't even gotten anywhere close to where we're going to be able to do that gesture-based spell casting that they showed us in the tutorial. Right. So it could get a lot more challenging and complicated really quickly because I'm already at my kind of limit with it. So, I think there's enough here to go back. I think it's worth another play session or two just to see where it goes. And like I said at the top, I'm not really the target audience for games like this. So I think it says something that I'm even considering going back into this game.
Right. Also, I think the price seems to be pretty good on this. I think this is $16.99 here in the States. And it just seems like, like I was playing this and I was like, oh, I wonder what they're going to charge for this. And then I looked at the price and I was like, that is absolutely fucking perfect. It might even, I think they could have gotten away with 20, maybe even a little bit more. For sure. Yes. Same with Vetrix. Vetrix probably could have been a $20 game. Very, very happy I'm really happy if they stick with the Steam pricing and go $15 on it. Like again, exploring more of this, exploring more of the pricing structure, pricing scale, I think is really, really good for developers and making sure that like they sell games, like even if it's, if it's not this massive AAA game, like I think there's a threshold, right? Below the $20 mark is, I'm so glad we have good moderators.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. Also, I streamed Summer Funland. Like, go back and watch it.
I did too, by the way.
So there you go. 2 Summer Funland streams you can watch. Thank you, whoever took care of that. Moderators are the best. Anyway, exploring this pricing structure. I think once you get below the $20 price point, like you don't even wait for reviews anymore. You're just like, oh, this looks interesting to me. This looks like something I'm interested in picking up. I won't even wait for a review. I'll just grab it because $15 is Pretty decent price for anything.
So is it on sale for the 16 and change, or is that just the price for it?
I believe that's just the price. You can
That's
pre-order
a good
now
price
for that price.
Yeah, that's a good price for it. Vetrix at 15, I thought was a pretty fairly priced game. I feel like this is easily a $20 to $25 game. So if they've
Nice.
got it priced for less than that, then I think that's a very good price for it.
Fantastic. Just as we were saying before this conversation, Wes, there's a lot of shit just dropping on the PlayStation Store left and right. PSVR2 games coming out non-stop. And I don't know if you noticed, but another one just dropped in Australia and New Zealand. Builder Simulator, I hope I got the name right. Builder Simulator VR is now out in New Zealand and Australia. I just got to bring up the trailer so I can see what the hell we're looking at here.
Those are my favorite type of games, Brian. The ones that end in simulator. Yeah. I love them so much.
Let's see what this looks like. This is a trailer from like 10 months ago or so. Oh boy. Have you ever wanted to build a house? Because if the answer is no, then boy, do we have a game for you. This looks like that's what this looks like. It looks like you're just building a fucking house. I'm so confused by the sirens on my end. Yeah, dude, like there are certain ones that I'm like, okay, I'm intrigued by this, like Power Wash Simulator. You know, I think that scratches a certain itch where you're just like, oh, it's so satisfying. You know, maybe to feel the haptics and then like to see all the dirt fall off and just like things get clean. I mean, I don't own a house, so I'm really happy to not have to worry about this stuff IRL, right? But Building Simulator looks like something I have zero desire to play.
Yeah, I'm not looking at it, but I could tell from the title that this is something that I have zero desire to play. I just don't get it with all of these games that make you go into VR to work. Like I've got enough work to do. I don't need to go into VR and pretend like I'm working.
Yeah. I felt the same way about Car Mechanic Simulator. I don't. It just even playing that game felt like work. Like I mean, like I don't even mean like the work it involved to tune up your car and stuff. I mean like just figuring out the UI and shit felt like work. Yep. Luckily, Wes, it seems like Ven VR Adventure will be yet another great drop that's happening before the end of the year. So.
Yeah, I caught a couple of glimpses of people saying that, but I didn't ever really look into it. Why did that get leaked, or has that been announced?
Well, trophies are live.
Oh,
and so yeah, I had heard a little whisper of that being a thing, and then next thing we knew, trophies were live, and sadly, no platinum. It's like 8 trophies, and that is it, which is ridiculous. Also, we should definitely mention Towers and Powers, no platinum on that either, which is a bummer because that's a game that like works on the star system. You know, you beat a level and you get ranked 1 to 3 stars. And if there was a platinum, Wes, that's the kind of game that I would be like, okay, listen, I'm doing this for the platinum, but you've gotten some replayability out of this for me. Nice. But no platinum on Towers and Powers, which is a real shame, I think.
Yeah, interesting.
Leo AI in the chat says simulator games can be informative. I don't want to be informed. Like that's I'm happy for anybody who like plays a simulator game and it's like, oh yeah, no, now I know more about being a car mechanic. I'm very happy for those people. That's not why I play games though.
Now, typically the ones I've always tried, which admittedly aren't many, they tend to be overly simplistic, and that's why they're not really very fun. But you know, maybe this one's different.
Oh no, Tatum, no, they're doing dad jokes in the fucking chat. Listen. When you guys were all talking about retro games earlier, I was totally on board. Like totally on board. Retro games all day, every day. People caught my ActRaiser reference. Awesome, love it. Right? But no more dad jokes, you guys. Speaking of dad jokes, Miles Dyer in the chat with the $2 tip says Building Simulator looks pure shovelware. Shovelware, Wes. Shovel. Oh my fucking god. Can we play some 20 questions?
Yeah, think this would be a good time for that because shit's going off the rails quickly here.
Yep.
Train wreck simulator.
Listen, if you come join the Discord, if you're a big fan of retro games, I just got. You can check out our retro channel in the Discord. I just picked up a long box copy of. It just came out. Like I'd pre-ordered it a while ago. Long box copy of the Resident Evil 0 D-Make, which y'all know is a GameCube game. D-Make that runs on PlayStation 1. I fucking love D-Makes, dude. Love it. And this one, they did a professional box copy with like printed manual and all that stuff. Very cool. Resident Evil 0 cool. D-Make.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah.
Wes, do you have a game picked out for 20 questions?
I do, although I just noticed 5 minutes ago that I'm hosting again this week. But I did pick one out just a moment ago.
So you subtly picked one out in the last 5 minutes without us even noticing.
Indeed.
And that's how we do things on GamesCast Live. Very last minute. All right, man. I need everybody's help in the chat because you know how this works. I've just forgotten every single PSVR 1 and 2 game ever made. So you guys ask good questions. Give me good responses, good suggestions based on, let's be fair. I'm just waiting for Looper to tell me what the game is. That's how this works. Let's do this. On your mark, get Des, go. Is this game on PlayStation VR 2?
No.
All right, guys. PSVR 1. Wes, is it a PSVR 1 exclusive?
No.
Okay. PSVR 1, not exclusive. We're doing good. Did the developer of this game make other PSVR games? 1 or 2?
I would say yes.
Sounds very well informed. All right. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry says, "Happy Funland, done. I win." Is this game? Is this? Sorry, more sirens over here. If you can hear them, let's figure out the genre. Is it horror based, like Looper asked?
No.
Okay. Puzzle based.
I mean, there might be some puzzles in it. I wouldn't call it a puzzle game per se, but
would you call it more? Would you call it an adventure?
Yeah, I think adventure would be the most fitting genre for it.
All right. Let's figure out some controllers. Did this game use the aim controller?
No.
Did this use the move controllers?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, so far, we know it's a PlayStation VR 1 game. It was not exclusive to PSVR 1, but it did not come out on PSVR 2 yet. The developer has made other PSVR games. There's probably some puzzles in it. An adventure game that uses the moves. Beard of Power 666 is asking if there's any multiplayer in this game.
I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and give you a little more info on this. It is possible that there's some sort of leaderboard in it, but it's very not prominent. Just the same as if there's any puzzles in this, they're not super prominent. Like it's a very small part of what's going on here.
Okay. Can't be Wander, Hippy Pickle, because the developer made other PSVR games. Melkaya, Soul Reaving Game Cat is wondering if it's Lucky's Tale. Let's see. I don't think that developer made other. You know what though? Let's get this out of the way. Is any of this played in first person?
Yes. That's 10, by the way.
Okay. I asked the wrong question. Because I've been saying, is any of this play in third person? So let's also ask that. Does any of this play out in third person?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, good. I wasted a question, but we got there. Okay. Is this a game you do a lot of shooting in? Like shooting of guns, I should say. Wow.
I don't remember doing a bunch of shooting in it. I mean, it's certainly There might be some of it in here, but I wouldn't call it a lot.
Okay. What about Looper's wondering about melee combat?
Yeah, there is some melee combat.
Okay, definitely melee. Maybe some guns. Okay. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Would you call this a fantasy game?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, technically, maybe not the type of fantasy that you're thinking about, but certainly a fantasy thing going on here.
Okay, so we're not talking like high fantasy. We're not talking like Lord of the Rings style. We're not talking the wizards.
Right.
We're not talking Mage's Tale.
Right. It's not that kind of fantasy.
Talking about a fantastical environment. I don't know if it can be Witching Tower, Looper, because those developers didn't make anything else, I believe, for PSVR1. Do you cast? Do you cast any kind of? Oh, you know what? Is there a floating companion in this game? Do you have like a floating? Yeah. Which doesn't actually narrow it down to more than like 100 games, but
I'm going to give you a pass on this one because I think so, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
Okay. Let's figure out how much fantasy this really is. Are you casting spells at all? Are you casting anything? Doing anything magical? Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. That's 15.
Is it cartoony?
No, not really. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think it's supposed to be more realistic.
Okay. Looper's just asking all the right questions. He's asking if there's any humor involved.
No, the mood's definitely not very light.
Okay. Well, then we are... I don't think it's Witching Tower, you guys. Although we've only got 2 seconds left. So, Wes, is it Witching Tower? I'm just going to ask. Go with it.
No, it's not Witching Tower. What it is the OG quest port. Vader Immortal, a Star Wars VR series.
Wow. I was so off base. What other PSVR games did ILMX Lab make?
They made
oh my god,
Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced
They sure did. Holy shit. Yep. Definitely melee. Maybe some guns. Yeah, I actually don't remember I don't remember blasters in this game.
Galaxy's Edge was so good that I don't remember a lot about Vader Immortal anymore.
Oh man, yep. People in the chat definitely. People were asking if it was from a known IP, and that would have absolutely helped.
That would have helped for sure.
Yep, I went down the wrong track big time. Saint Nicholas says this is not fantasy; it's sci-fi. But I mean, yes and no. It's definitely. I mean, it definitely is sci-fi. But like, is there an air of fantasy?
Those two, they're not mutually exclusive. Right. You can have sci-fi fantasy.
I think you were pretty clear that it wasn't traditional fantasy. So.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Well played, Wes. Well played.
Thank you.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for another episode of the GAMESCAST Live. Thank you all so much for being here. We appreciate you oh so very much. There's just a lot going on. So if you don't hear from me or Wes for foreseeable future, is because we're definitely trying to get our own end of the year stuff going on. I got the award show. He's got an end of year show. And obviously there's going to be a lot of voting. So make sure that you keep an eye on the Virtual Strangers Discord YouTube channel. Keep an eye on the Without Parole Discord YouTube channel. And make sure you make your voice heard. It's going to be an insane couple of weeks, but I think it's all going to pay off. It's all going to be amazing. There's some good reveals coming up. Talking to some different developers. Some very cool things will be announced on the award show. We'll see just how much cool stuff, though, Still in the early stages. Shockingly, only 17 days away. Why is it the early stages? I don't know. But thank you, everybody who helps the channel out. Sci-Fi Game Kit Henry that puts timestamps into the show after the fact. Rypop for getting this up on podcast services of your choice. All of the moderators out there doing God's work, making my life so much easier each and every day. They have no idea how much I love them, but I do dearly. Also, everyone who supports us financially over on patreon.com/withoutparolegames, everyone who is a member over here on YouTube, everyone who tips during the show means a lot. You don't even know. Everyone who hangs out, contributes to the conversation, keeps us entertained while we try to keep you entertained. Everyone who sits back, watches the show, doesn't say a goddamn word. We know you're out there. And we love you just as much. Also, what the fuck is happening in this window behind me? It is like, is it snowing? Like, I think it's snowing.
It's a Christmas miracle, Brian.
I'm so excited. I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to
Time
me. I
to
don't
put
leave
your
my
tree
house.
up. You should have a Christmas cat tree.
Oh, I got something. I got something for a tornado. Happy Wednesday, Wes.
Happy Wednesday, Brian. Happy Wednesday, cats. Go vote. It's your right and your responsibility.
Hell yeah. Bye. Man, Scott's wondering what was happening 2 years ago. That's a good question. I don't actually have this ready. Let's take a look back in the way back machine and see what was happening on this day in Without Parole history. December.
I want to go on a limb.
Yeah.
And say that it's some form of PSVR2 speculation.
Probably. Let's check this out. I don't even know what we used on Monday. I don't know if it was the exact day or not. So rolling the dice here. December 13th, 2021. Oh, indeed. Will PSVR2 have what it takes to compete with Quest? The answer, Wes, may surprise you.
And it may vary depending upon who you ask, right?
Right. Sales-wise, the answer was no. PSVR2 cannot compete with Quest. Game-wise, I think we're doing pretty fucking good.
Exactly.
That's good, man. I love that. You knew it was going to be PSVR2 related. We were all about as much speculation talk as we possibly could get because there was nothing else to talk about. It was insane. There was a couple of years here where I was like, I just don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
But we made it. We made it through those times now, Brian, and now we've been given 2 Resident Evil games in a calendar year.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say I couldn't be happier, but I'm pretty dang happy.
Dude, I mean, I don't think I could be happier. I think asking for anything more is just absolutely absurd. In the number of quality indie games that we've been getting that just like keep rolling through the door every single day, announced, unannounced, just over the horizon, ready to be here. I mean, it's an insane number of games. I know I've said this before, and so for the 300 people that are still here, I'm going to say it again. If you weren't here near the beginning of the PSVR1 era, when we would sometimes go weeks or months without a quality title, and then a game would come out and we'd all just buy it because it was the only VR game to come out. Like, we would go months with nothing, and then the game we'd get would be kind of crappy. And you're like, all right, well, and then we go another month without anything. Like, this is way better than VR's ever had it. Way better. Oh, awesome. Thank you, Tiff. Better thumbnails now, too. Appreciate that.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Like some of these award categories, I literally had to narrow down from 25 nominees just because there were so many deserving good games that came out this year. So yeah, it's weird. Now, I've said it a bunch of times already. It's the year in VR where we got the most and people have appreciated it the least. It's really
true.
crazy what's happened this year. People are out with their golden pitchforks and it's crazy.
Yep, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Things have never been better, and I'm glad our community, for the most part, really appreciates it because it's been a lot of fun. All right, let's get out of here. Wes, have a great night, and be in touch soon. Good night, everybody.
Okay. So good night.